Do you like breaking the rules?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I am the rule. I'm the only rule in this game, so it doesn't matter weight divisions. Nate said he was ready to fight at any time, but, well, he wasn't. He wasn't ready to fight at 155. He wasn't ready to fight at 160, 165. So we give him 170, so...
They go every other day.
I'm happy to go and do it.
I'm not gonna lose no weight over no shit. I don't give a fuck, and I said 155 from the
You
beginning.
didn't take 155, though. You did not take 155.
I did too. Initially,
You didn't take 155, Nick.
Yes, I did.
But that's cool. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Get comfortable. Get comfortable. 170. Get comfortable. 170, brother. Yeah, get comfortable.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck either. I don't give a fuck either. I tell you, I like Nick's little bro. I do. I honestly I like Nick's little bro. You know what I mean? How can you not like him? He's like a little cholo gangster from the hood. But at the same time, he coaches kids jiu-jitsu on a Sunday morning and goes on bike rides with the elderly. He makes gun signs with the right hand and animal balloons with the left hand. So you're a credit to the community.
Fuck you. Fuck you, Bell. I don't give a fuck what you say, motherfucker. Yeah, thugging on mine, motherfucker. What you got?
He's all right, Nick. He's okay. Nick's so proud of you.
Go ahead, Evie. Fuck your bitch ass belt too.
Fuck the belt. I don't give a fuck about the belt. The only belt I care about.
Everywhere? Why you bring it everywhere? Why you bring it everywhere?
Fuck about nothing. The only thing I give a fuck about is the check, and my checks are super heavy.
I don't give a fuck about no belt, motherfucker. Fight ass whoopings all day.
Thanks.
What's going on, good people? Welcome to another edition of The Common Take. I'm your host, The Common Man, Nate Lewis, and today we have a very special guest. AJ, what's going on with you?
What's going on, man? Nothing much, nothing much.
Nothing much. Well, we just got through witnessing maybe the greatest press conference of all time. UFC 196 press conference, Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz, and where do we start?
You just gotta love it. It's two guys that are gonna go out there. I mean, for one, they're gonna fight. They're not gonna, come out and be like, well, I train hard. They just want to come out and fight, and you gotta respect that.
Yeah, and we kind of knew that once, well, let's kind of backtrack here. So, initially, I woke up, and this was I believe it was the night after Shane McMahon returned on Raw, thinking that's what my next big show was going to be about. And I get up the next morning, and I go on to UG, which, I'm trying to cut down on doing that. And I'm seeing, Rafael's out. Rafael's injured. Everything's a rumor at this point. And I'm going, oh, shit, here we go. It's 189 all over again. And immediately, the first name I'm hearing is Donald Cerrone or Nate Diaz. And you're kind of hearing between those two. Anthony Pettis' name popped up for a minute. Who else was there? Frankie Edgar name popped up.
Jose Aldo popped up. Eddie Alvarez.
Tony Ferguson, I think, was in there.
Ferguson.
Oh, my God.
And Eddie. Yeah.
And it was just one after another. You'd hear a camp saying something or it'd be a tweet from someone. And at the end, this is the fight we got. And I think out of all the options we got, I think this is probably the best one.
Definitely going to be most entertaining just for the build-up to it. I mean, you only got, 12 days?
Yeah,
and
these two.
These two are just going to keep trading jabs back and forth.
Yeah, it is going to lead to even the excitement on the YouTube channel of the press conference was somewhere around, I think at one point it was at 180,000 people watching the press conference. It's insane. But what I want to kind of dive into is we can go up and down, just kind of thoughts on how each opponent would have fared differently. The biggest thing actually I want to talk about, though, is the biggest story is coming from Frankie Edgar. Dana White on SportsCenter mentioned that the fight was offered to Frankie and that he turned it down. Frankie then comes out with a statement saying, I didn't turn the fight down. I was injured. You knew I was injured. But you're saying this to make me look bad. What's your thoughts on Frankie Edgar?
Some reason they don't. It's like they have a thing against Frankie. I mean, the dude's just been on a tear lately. He's been going through people like crazy. He got passed over from Mendez for the fight against, kind of the first time everybody thought was going to happen, and kind of decides to jump up to fight Dos Anjos. I don't think they want him to fight Frankie. I think they want to keep Conor away from him.
I kind of have mixed feelings on the Frankie Edgar situation. I am a Frankie Edgar fan, and I do think he deserves the shot. But when you have a chance to kind of make history as Conor's looking to do, I think you kind of have to take it. If Conor's willing to do it, if Rafael was willing to do it, Frankie's gonna get his shot. And quite frankly, he's nursing an injury right now. He wouldn't have been able to fight now. I think he was probably thinking he may have been in line for a title shot at UFC 200, which is, I think, the route that you might want to go. But when this story kind of came out, I'm sorry, like I said, I'm an Edgar fan, but it kind of makes Frankie, to me, sound a little bit whiny. Yeah, you were injured. Yeah, you knew they offered you the fight, but I mean, does it really matter how they put it? Does it matter that they say you turned out? In essence, you turned down the fight. You can pay semantics all you want, but you turned down the fight. You had a great reason to turn down the fight, but you turned down the fight.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like Danny said, you got to be there to fight, and, these opportunities ain't going to come a lot. Eventually, you turn down fights, keep skipping out fights, they're going to start ignoring you altogether. I would like to see Frank fight him, but I think, depending on what happens against Nate, if Conor goes in there strong and takes out Nate right away like he's saying he's going to do, I wouldn't be surprised seeing Conor fight at UFC 200 against Robbie Lawler.
And that's a good question in and of itself. Assuming Conor wins this fight, what's next? Does he go after Lawler at 200 for that title? Does he then still fight Rafael at 200? Does he fight maybe Frankie at 200? What do you see as most likely to happen, and what would you like to see what happen for Conor at UFC 200?
If he, like I said, if he takes out Nate quickly, like he did Aldo and everything, like he just burns right through him, I'd rather see him fight Robbie Lawler, because right now, with the way Dos Anjos caught up with that injury, it seems like it lost luster on him. I'd love to see Conor go and fight Lawler, because that fight would be wild.
That fight would be insane. And that kind of leads into something I just read on Bleacher Report right before we started recording, which was Conor is almost saying, hey, this was Rafael's chance to make the money fight with me, and now I can't be so certain that we can count on him to be ready for another fight. So that might be the way to go. And I can see Dana White and Joe Silva going in that direction if Conor does kind of go through this unscathed. Also a little upset about the fight announcement here was Donald Cerrone. Although Cowboy being Cowboy, it wasn't too much to the tweet. It was saying, I wish I had the exact tweet up here. Do you know exactly what Donald Cerrone said? Let me see if I can find it here. Once again, I'm providing awesome radio here.
Well, I know Bisping came out talking about how Conor is the luckiest man in mixed martial arts, because anybody else has a fighter pull out, usually the pay-per-view is going to be killed, or it's just going to be a lackluster pay-per-view. Conor's still going to sell.
Exactly.
So you put him in, he's still going to sell.
Let's see. Oh, he's actually tweeted a lot here in the last few hours. Oh, here it is. 19 hours ago, Cowboy Cerrone. Fuck. Gotta love Cowboy. When Cowboy's name was circulating out around there, I understood why. Obviously, he was a fixture in the lightweight division. He just came off a fight where he didn't suffer. He didn't suffer any injuries in the fight. He seemed to come through unscathed. That made sense to me also. Until I kind of really thought about it. It's like, okay, so let's say Cerrone wins that fight against McGregor. We're setting up another Cerrone and Dos Anjos fight, which, I'm sorry, we kind of saw how that turned out.
Yeah, and it's not appealing. That's why I think one of the reasons when Conor mentioned it, he recently lost to Dos Anjos, it wasn't as appealing as a fight. Whereas Nate...
And if it had been a closer fight, or if it had been like something that went into the later rounds, I could see that, but not when you get blitzed in the first round.
On Fox.
On Fox, yeah. At my job, you know how many people actually saw I was pumping up Cerrone, like, yeah, this guy's going to maybe fight Conor, and then they go in there and kind of get basically just ran over like that. Wasn't a good look.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Conor, UFC's got to be careful. I think he's getting too much control, and if Conor beats Nate, he's going to call his own shots for everything.
Well, he's already doing that now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you listen to the press conference, getting back to some of the highlights from the press conference, Connor said, "Hey, I called this. I wanted to fight Nate. I told them to offer him more money, get this done. He said he couldn't make 155. I said give him 160. He couldn't. Said 165. I said fine, give him one. He's calling his own shots at this point, or at least that's the appearance. Is that Connor is the LeBron James of the UFC? It's mine, and I'm calling all the shots."
But yeah, I mean, you got love some of Nate's responses too.
Oh,
I mean,
to me, Nate, and I posted it in the group. Nate had my favorite response, which was they offered me a fuckload of money, and I said I want more of that shit.
Yeah, yes.
I rewound that about 6 times. Nate was just phenomenal here, and for those who were familiar with Nate, this press conference with him and McGregor, it went exactly as you would think. Connor talking his big game. Nate with just shorts, I'm ready to fight, let's go, and a lot of fucks. There was a short exchange of fuck you and fuck your belt. This is a press conference that will never air on television. Let's put it that way.
Oh, nah. Well, most of the Diaz stuff you can't air on television.
And for some reason, they put Joe Rogan in on Nate's last fight to go in there and get his comments. I am still shocked to this day.
Well, yeah, Joe did on his podcast was talking about. He's like, yeah, they're in his ear yelling, "Take the microphone away from him."
But so we are now set up for that. There's I've been even as we speak, I got Twitter pulled up in front of me, and I'm just seeing all types of reactions to this press conference. People are excited. Fighters are a little upset. Kind of going back to what you said earlier about Connor seemingly is calling his shots. Even Frankie Edgar came out and said the C in UFC now stands for Connor. A lot of fighters seem to be really upset about this, and I'm kind of confused as to why.
I don't know why either, because truthfully, like Connor said, he made Nate a millionaire now. You know, Connor's the big money fights. Out of everybody else, I mean, who's people going to pay and see? They're going to pay and see Connor, so give the guy power.
Yeah, and it's kind of almost, and maybe it's because you and I are both pro wrestling fans. We see money or we see a draw, and it's good for the sport, and eventually it'll be good for everyone. The CM Punk saga, which we'll get to a little bit later if we have time. People are so upset that, you know, you got Michael, whatever he wants to call himself, Michael Jackson, and Mickey Gall fighting for an opportunity to face a guy that's never fought. And it's drawn so much ire from MMA fans. And I don't get it. You gotta start. A guy got a job. Mickey Gall got a job thanks to CM Punk. And I don't understand it's just insane to me.
Because CM Punk's going to bring people in the seat. Yeah, he may do bad in this fight. He may do good. We don't know. But he's going to put people there to watch pay-per-view just because they want to see what happens.
Exactly. And if more eyeballs are drawn to your sport in a positive way, like what we got 5,000.
Oh, man.
Which
that was horrible.
You know, let's just get into that right now before I even get to anything else, because that's still fresh in my mind. Hey, did you? I know you watched Bellator on Friday. What were your thoughts? Before I give you my story, what were your thoughts on that fight? Now,
I mean, the card wasn't bad. The Gracie Shamrock thing, yeah, it was kind of odd and a low blow, but whatever. The fight before the Gallard, and I forget who Gallard got knocked out by, but that fight was good. But the Mike Tyson commentary on it was excellent.
Mike Tyson was the highlight of Bellator. Let's just keep it real.
That was awesome. Then we get to this fight. When I'm expecting like what I used to watch on YouTube with Kimbo, backyard fight, two guys is going at it, see what happens. And after like 30 seconds, they were tired, laying on each other, and you could see Big John McCarthy was just like, "Man, this has got to stop. Come on."
I really felt for Big John in this fight. It was really after Kimbo got this takedown. I was kind of impressed that he went for a takedown in the first place. And so I'm like, okay, well, they're going to, both show that they can't do shit on the ground. And this is, Big John will stand him up. And, I mean, it took a little while. Nothing happened. At that point, I think Kimbo got the mount and did nothing.
Nothing.
He got stood up. And, I mean, they're sucking so much wind at this point. I thought I was watching Piper and Hogan in 98. Like, this is terrible. And to kind of give you a background on my story watching the fights, I was at work that night. I work at a hotel. We have a huge opening, and there's like TVs everywhere. And Friday night, there wasn't a lot going on, so I put on the Bellator fights, and it's Kimbo. Kimbo's on, and everyone knows who Kimbo is. I'm not over-exaggerating. I got families, business people. They all know who Kimbo is. And I told them, there's no way this fight's going to pass 30 seconds, much less a round. And as this fight is going on, people are shooting me the stink eye. People are leaving and going up to their rooms. It became a gigantic mess. And so, go ahead.
I was just after like the first round, I was like, all right, this guy and something. Then went to the second round, nothing happened. And the third round, I was like, okay, this has got to stop. This is just killing the sport.
It really was. And from what I observed in the fight, I can tell that, Dada's had some fight experience, but to me, he's kind of still new at this. I heard he had to cut weight going into the fight. So him gassing to me wasn't a surprise. Even Kimbo gassing to me wasn't a surprise if you saw the Houston Alexander fight. But for him to be gassed for basically doing nothing, it blew my mind. And, in the third round, when you're here, they're being pulled off the stool. Like I said, I felt for John McCarthy, but at that point, maybe you need to step, hey, can you fight? That needs to be a question that needs to be asked.
Yeah, they need to, for Bellator to be legitimate, they need to stop doing these circus fights. Kimbo draws, but, you really can't be putting that on all the time.
Yeah, the fight drew was at 2.5 million record numbers for Spike, and it won Saturday night, highest rated show Saturday night. So, as much as you and I hate it, as much as MMA fans hate it, Bellator's got all the ammunition it needs to keep doing this shit. And aside from the fact that we got a really shitty fight, and just infuriatingly, almost to the point of it was so shitty, it's amazing to watch. I've watched the fight now 4 times. As shitty as it was, we're going to get more. And even on top of that, though, a man almost died.
Yeah.
That's the part that, initially after the fight, you had a lot of people coming out and saying, like, oh God, this fight was terrible. And then immediately, oh, wow, Dada's heart stopped. He had renal failure. This is sad. This is a terrible thing. And hopefully this opens eyes to what's kind of been the big discussion in MMA here recently, other than PEDs, which is dehydrations of athletes going into the cage.
Weight cutting. Yeah, I kept saying before, they need to have some kind of limit. If you walk around at 170, you can only fight at like 155. You can't drop, 30, 40, 50 pounds to fight a lower weight class. It's just not gotta be healthy for you.
And I believe
I believe California's doing it. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I believe one of these organizations out here doing that now with the hydration test for athletes before walking in the octagon. Now, I think with that too, they're actually weighing in even earlier, like 3 days or 4 days or something before a fight. They're weighing in well before the fight.
They just need to, because like I said, it's not right for a body to go drop 40 pounds and everything, to go put yourself through a strenuous activity like that, and then just expect, I'll just go rehydrate afterwards, I'll get the IV, we'll be good. It's going to cause problems. It caused problems in high school wrestling and everything. They've been having problems with it.
Yeah, and it's been a known problem for a long time. Now, I don't know if the rehydration in early weigh-ins, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think this is something that there's no quick or right solution to. We have to kind of see how things go. And some of these smaller organizations I hate to use the term guinea pig, but they'll be the guinea pigs to how things get done here in the future. One of the things I'm worried about with these weigh-ins being way earlier in advance of fights is you'll run into the problem where someone's 20 or 25 pounds bigger than his opponent because you have more time to hydrate. So.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want mismatches too bad. I'm surprised how people like Tyrone Woodley, he just looks like a monster. Him and was it Yoel Romero?
Oh, Yoel Romero.
Their bodies are just ridiculous.
I'm so sorry. I'm so big. I'm sorry. I got issues with Yoel, but yeah, these guys, they in everyday life, they're just huge. Even Anthony Rumble Johnson fights at 205 now. One of the baddest motherfuckers in history fought at 170.
Yeah.
and would cut. It wasn't like he was a smaller guy back then. He was the size he is now, which is, I think what they say, he walked around at 230, and would cut to 170. How ridiculous is that?
Yeah. I mean, in a short period of time. It's not like, just dropping over a year or so. It's in about, 6 weeks?
Yeah, a regular training camp, just cutting that amount of weight. So, but
what do you think about? Oh, I'm sorry. What do you think about Alistair Overeem and Arlovsky?
Oh, I think I mentioned something about this when me and you were kind of going back and forth before. This fight pisses me the fuck off so much. Look, here's my thing. In the last year or so, I've never been a fan of the heavyweight division, the UFC heavyweight division, but in the last year or so, I've gotten excited. We've gotten return of older names with Arlovsky and Frank Mir, and you saw that Mark Hunt got a title shot not all that long ago, and you got some of these established names in the division, and then all of a sudden they're on winning streaks. Arlovsky was on a winning streak. Frank Mir was on a winning streak. Overeem on a winning streak. Rothwell on a winning streak. Meanwhile, you got Cain No Bone Vasquez over here, who's just not fighting and is so inactive. Finally, he finally has a fight with Fabricio, loses the fight
Badly,
and is granted a rematch because that's just what they do. And division gets held up, and now they're. Before I even get to that, so then. And real quick, it's time for that promo code that pays. The promo code that pays for this podcast is the word podcast. So you can either hit me up on Facebook, you can hit me up in the group, Twitter, whatever. As long as you use the promo code podcast, you are entered in a chance to win the UFC 196 pay-per-view absolutely free. Once again, that code word is podcast. Yeah, so we get to the point where the UFC 196 card falls apart, and instead of doing anything at all to kind of establish who is going to be a number one contender, they're just matching up the heavyweights against people who've already lost or recently come off losses, and it's not building in a contender, and it's actually putting the UFC in this weird spot where whenever Fabricio does fight, he might not have a contender.
Oh no, he's already fighting. They already announced it.
Oh, they have an announcement? Who's he fighting next?
He's fighting Steve Miocic, the Brazil card with Vitor and Jacare.
Oh man, that's gonna be a hell of a card. Okay, so Steve. All right, so now I'm a little less upset about that. So we can talk about the actual components of the fight itself, which is these guys are in the same camp.
Yeah, that's I mean, I agree. You got to fight who you can fight, but that's gonna be a little weird, man. Because then basically one guy probably has to leave the camp to go train somewhere else.
I believe.
And then you got the guy training both of them. I mean, he's gonna know their weaknesses, strengths, and good stuff, bad stuff about each guy. So it's like,
Well, I believe I read somewhere that Jackson said he was going to train Arlovsky because Arlovsky was a special case. That one.
Well, he's been there longer.
Yeah, and I don't know. There might be something else to that too, but. Yeah, even that of itself, I mean, Greg Jackson's known as one of the best cornermen in the history of the sport. And the guy trains at your gym, and he's not going to have that in his corner. It's just, man, that's tough.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a good fight because you got two guys with that great striking, but with glass jaws.
Yeah, it's almost who hits the big shot first.
Yeah.
And it's tough to pick. It's tough to pick, but this is a show where we discuss MMA, so I think we have to pick. I'll let you go first, being my guest.
I would normally pick Overeem just because I think he's got a better overall game, but it seems like anytime he signs a big contract or debuts and has big hype, he just falters his first fight. I'm going to have to go with Arlovsky.
I think I'll agree. I will go with Arlovsky as well. If for no other reason is I'm a sentimental fan of the old school, and I've been watching Arlovsky for well over a decade. He's actually one of the first people I ever saw fight in mixed martial arts. So just as a sentimental pick, I'm going to go with Arlovsky. However, if he does get tagged, that will be it. Good night. Let's just say that. We have another major heavyweight fight announcement as well. Who is Ben Rothwell fighting?
Dos Santos.
And another matchup that's kind of like, all right, well, Ben, you're on a roll. You're in line for a title shot. Try not to lose this fight.
Yeah, but he's been surprising people. I mean, he's been taking people out. Like, I mean, he submitted Josh Barnett. Last guy has done. Nobody's done that.
No one has submitted Josh Barnett. No one. That was just as shocking to me as the fact that Ryan Bader got submitted without really throwing an effective punch. Anyway, I really do. And with Dos Santos, man, people talk about how wars can take from you. I've never ever seen anyone take beatings that Dos Santos has taken and it really have affect their career afterwards. I don't want to say a guy is shot, but he might be shot. And
after the Kane fight,
both of them, just got obliterated. I'm going with Ben here, and I'm going with Ben big. I'd be willing to bet money on that one, and that it ends at a stoppage quickly, actually.
I have to go with Ben too. I mean, he's on the roll, and I think it'll make more sense. And besides, I want to see him cut another wrestling promo.
Yeah, he didn't really cut it. He didn't cut it the last time. And you know what? It would have been great. The one he cut would have been great, except for John Anik decided to be, like a fucking journalist and actually ask a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Now, what they need to do, I mean, if they want to compete with Bellator and the high ratings they got, just hire Mean Gene anytime Ben Rothwell fights. Just have Mean Gene come in there, put a mic in their face, and you're guaranteed you're going to get a golden promo.
I like that.
Well, yeah, I'm almost a solutions-oriented person. I like to look for solutions, and I like to offer them here on the show. So
let's see. Now here's a question: if Arlovsky wins and Rothwell wins and Fabricio beats Miocic, who gets the shot first? You got Rothwell because he's. But Arlovsky also has a win over Verdum.
He does.
Yeah.
Rothwell's on a roll right now, and Arlovsky just lost. To me, you have to go with Rothwell. I would love it if they gave Arlovsky the shot. I actually wish he hadn't had the fight with Frank Mir, even though he won that fight. I didn't think he even needed to have that fight and was in contention for a title shot. But to me, if Rothwell wins his next fight, no matter what, he should get the next shot. And people can make the argument about Overeem maybe also getting the shot if he wins against Arlovsky. But to me, if Ben wins the next fight, he's the next in line.
I can see that. Yeah, it makes sense.
Although, Fabricio versus Stipe, that's a tough one for Fabricio there.
Yeah, I mean, Fabricio, his boxing has improved so much, and he's still got one of the best ground games in all mixed martial arts. I don't know. I think that younger guy might be able to take it.
Yeah, and this is going to be a pretty long layoff for Fabricio as well, which is one of the many benefits you have when you're one of Cain Velasquez's 3 opponents he's had in the last 5-6 years. Is you have to sit through a lot of layoffs, and this is going to be one for him. It's going to be a tough fight, but I have to make a pick on that one. I think, even saying all that, I actually do pick Fabricio to win that fight over Stipe.
I don't know. Like I said, I mean, the younger guy, layoffs and everything, and he kind of did bounce out of the fight with Miocic. I mean, yeah, I understand it was a short camp and everything, but he kind of did back out of it real quick.
Awfully quick, like in a New York minute quick. I was getting ready to do a show just completely. Look, my show was just going to be the announcement that Kane had pulled out and just a laugh track for 20 minutes, and I was going to post it and see if I got listeners. And then literally by the time I got home, Fabricio was also out. And, I mean, his excuse... Listen, in the real world, his excuse of, hey, I would have fought this guy, even I'm injured myself, I would have fought anyway because I was preparing for this guy, and now there's this new guy, that would fly in the normal real world, but not in the world of mixed martial arts, not in the world of fights being announced and then canceled and after people spending money. It don't fly in MMA.
And it leaves a sour taste in my mouth when stuff like that, ever since when John Jones refused to fight Sonnen the first time.
And that stigma is still sitting on him to this day. Like, he cost the car. Like, that was the first one that actually got canceled, correct?
Yeah.
He canceled it. First UFC pay-per-view to get canceled, and that's on John Jones. And thus one of the 9,000 reasons why I'm not a John Jones fan.
Oh, me either. I mean, I think he's got great talent. I think, he's a great fighter. Aside from one of the best eye pokers.
Hey, that's a skill.
Business.
That's a skill.
But yeah, I mean, and then there's the outside life. I mean, getting stuff, more tickets and everything, driving without.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that a little bit later, but since we're on the topic, let's get to that. So, John was pulled over. I'm not sure what the initial violation was. Was he ran a red light or signaled wrong or something to that effect? But cops pulled him over. He's driving without a license, proof of insurance, or registration. And people were freaking out thinking that he possibly violated his probation, which initially when I heard it, that's what the story was. I didn't think it would play a major role in his probation, but it became an issue for a few hours until eventually it came out that it would not. But had this been something that would have violated his probation, I mean, good God.
Yeah.
The future of John Jones is a huge question mark even after the fight in April. This guy needs to keep his nose clean. And when I mean like, keep it clean, I almost would not leave. I would have literally someone drive me from my house to the gym and back. Anywhere else I want to go, you need to bring it to my house. I am not leaving my house.
Yeah, I mean, especially, you had the failed drug test. Yeah, it was outside competition, but it was still a failed drug test.
For coke.
And then, yeah.
I forget what it was for, people. It was for coke.
And the accident itself, it was a pregnant woman in that car. He hit her and then ran. That's a little upsetting to me, because it's like, you could have killed a kid. And UFC kind of covered up for him. Like, oh, no, we're just going to suspend him a little bit. Yeah.
I think one of the bigger things he's in the accident. He takes off. Someone could be very much injured, but then he has a presence of mind to come back to the car and grab a stack full of cash and then take off again, which tells me two things. One, he sure has his priorities in order, in terms of caring for a human life as opposed to whatever else he might have in the car. And two, John Jones must be freakishly fast. Because I do anything, the cops are here within like 2 minutes. And for him to be gone so we didn't know where Jones was for almost the whole weekend, Jones got some skills.
I mean, that's what money does, man. Yeah, if that was me and you got in the accident, tried that.
I don't think I would have made it to my neighbor's house if I'd have did that. There's just no way. I'd have been tackled. It'd have been on an episode of Cops. Somehow I would have ended up in a wife beater. It's just how that's just how that goes. But we do still have the fight is on. Then Jones has no repercussions with his probation. We do still have Jones versus DC. That it will be at UFC 197, April 23rd. AJ, your pick.
Yeah, the first fight happened. I thought, here's DC. He's beating heavyweights. He's beating light heavyweights. He's dominating people. That fight, I mean, they gotta give credit to him. John Jones can shut a guy down. He did the Glover Teixeira. Everybody's like, oh, this guy's a monster. He hits you, he drops you. John bullied him, beat him up. DC, he pretty much did the same thing. And let's be honest, if DC got lucky, Rumble Johnson got winded, because...
I don't know about that one. I don't know if it was just a win thing. I think that's kind of DC style. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but...
No, go ahead.
That fight there, I thought DC kind of showed something to himself. He got to prove something to himself. He was able to take a huge shot and continue not only to move forward, but be effective moving forward. That fight actually meant more to me than his fight with Gustafsson, which, everybody says, oh, it proves how tough DC is. He was able to fight this really tall guy with this long reach and find a way to... The fight with Anthony Johnson proved more to me, and that's actually why, even though I'm not a John Jones fan, even though I always pick or I root for the person or someone else to beat John Jones, always at the end up going, yeah, well, John's going to win this fight. After that fight with Anthony Johnson, and even on top of that more with the win over Gustafsson, I really do see DC winning this fight. I'm not sure exactly how it gets done, but I see him being more driven. I see him being... He has a sense of pride with him now because he's carrying not an interim belt. It's his belt. And I see that as being something that's going to help his motivation, on top of the fact that he was so embarrassed in the last fight and was so desperate at the end of that fight that he's going for a takedown that is nowhere near going to help him win that fight. I really do favor DC in this fight against John Jones.
I hope he wins too, because I mean, I like DC too. Like I said, he's a phenomenal talent. He's a big wrestling fan.
Yeah, pro wrestling.
But yeah, I mean, it's just gonna be weird. 'Cause, I mean, you seen the pictures of John Jones getting all swole and everything. I mean, he's bulking up there.
Yeah, he is, and he's flat out come out and said, "I'm almost done at light heavyweight." He has 3 fights he plans on doing. This fight with DC, rematch with Gustafsson, and then finally Anthony Johnson, which we'll see how all that shapes out for him. But I really hope DC gets this win.
I wouldn't mind seeing Jones move up to heavyweight, like flute, bring up some new people. Because look at it, a lot of the heavyweights. I think the youngest one is like 34, 35 in the top 10.
Yeah, it's almost the heavyweight division in of itself is a decade and a half version younger of Bellator's main event team. Like they're heading to that point.
Now, speaking of Bellator, what do you think about Benson Henderson?
Benson's an interesting case for me. I mean, if you look at where he was at with the UFC before his decision, or before his last fight, he wasn't really in the title picture at lightweight. So he moves up to 170, has a fight with Brandon Thatch where he wins, and it's an impressive win, but he's clearly undersized. He's clearly the smaller guy, and that would be a problem going forward in that division as well. And with the Reebok deal being what it is, and Benson not able to draw the money from sponsors in the way that he used to, it makes sense for me that he makes a deal with Bellator that gives him what he wants financially right there, as opposed to the offer he got from the UFC, which was contingent on him being a champion, which I didn't see happening in either division. Now, as far as what will happen with him and Bellator, obviously they gave him a title fight right out of the gate, which I fully expect him to win. He'll probably be the face of the brand that they'll want to push, as opposed to what they currently have on top of their shows, which do nothing but help Bellator. So overall, I think it's a good move not only for him, but it's a good move for Bellator.
Yeah, I like that. I like the move for him too. And I just don't like the Reebok deal. I think that's going to cause a lot of problems.
Well, we were expecting a lot of people maybe to really not like the Reebok deal to the point of fighting out their contracts and moving, but Overeem re-signed, Aljamain re-signed. People are re-signing, and it's this kind of weird thing. And I'm gonna use a wrestling analogy here. Wade Barrett is given notice that he's not re-signing his contract in June. If you're a guy like Wade Barrett, who you're absolutely going nowhere in the big leagues, and you can draw a little bit more, or you can draw a lot of money fighting or wrestling at a different promotion and making your money that way, I completely agree with that. But so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He'll make a ton of money if he goes back to England. He goes to Japan. Even TNA will sit there and probably open the books for him.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that makes sense to me. If you're this kind of closes the window of what I'm trying to say, but there are people within the UFC that are either a decent name or they were a decent name, and those are the type of people I can see leaving over the Reebok deal because hey, they've got some value to sponsors. They can pull a lot of money from sponsors. I see people like that. I actually thought Overeem was another prime example of that, having past name and with the heavyweight division kind of being what it is. I thought he would be a prime candidate for someone who would then, kind of take off and explore making more monies outside of the actual fighting cage. Aljamain Sterling is the exact opposite of that. Aljamain to me is someone who is very much on the cusp of getting a title shot. If it was him and Dominic Cruz right now, I would favor Dominic, but I mean, Aljamain is right there in terms of being able to compete and be at that level and be a champion. That's someone who I don't expect to leave UFC and really be greatly affected by the Reebok deal, making them not want to stay with the company. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, but like I said, well, they don't have stuff like Japan anymore where they go to Pride, and even though we call trying to make a big run now for another Fedor fight, Risen.
Risen, Rosen.
Yeah, they're talking about doing Fedor versus Vanderlei Silva.
Sure, okay. Sorry, I'm. When it comes to the whole Rising thing and what they're doing with Fedor, look, if Fedor's getting paid, good for him. It's just I don't have to care. I'll catch it when someone talks about it. I mean, that last fight was. I don't want to shit on the whole show that Rising put together, but most of it was just completely useless to me, including the Gabby Garcia fight. It's something that, hey, when you guys tell me it's great, I'll go check it out. Sorry.
Yeah, if not, you'll be getting stuff like the 68-year-old woman fighting a mixed martial art fight.
Yeah, oh god, 60. So I saw a clipping on that. I didn't really click into it because I'm sorry, there was a video attached, and I don't want to see someone who's old enough to be my grandmother getting her ass handed to her by a 24-year-old.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
Was it that? Walk me through it because I didn't see it personally.
I mean, it starts out, they do a quick exchange. The younger chick, I forget what her name is, but she took down, I think the old lady was clear. She took it down, had side control, worked it, got mounted, started raining down blows on her. And it's just, no.
Well, when you say raining down blows, I hope you're talking about just, maybe a couple of small hammer fist or something like that.
No. It was blows after blows. I mean, it was a good stoppage. It wasn't like, she let her get, but just like you said, seeing a 68-year-old woman getting hit is just not something I want to see.
And this goes back to the Dada thing we were talking about earlier. I mean, Dana's one of those people that wants to legitimize MMA, and he wants to bring it to New York because New York's, for whatever fucking reason, wants to kind of hold out and not legalize it. But then you get shit like the Dada fight and shit like this story that you were just talking about. It really is embarrassing. It's ungodly embarrassing, and it's a story we don't need in MMA. Like, yeah. I love this sport. I want to see this sport grow, and stuff like this is not helping.
No. It's just, like I said, sideshow stuff. It just makes it look bad. It gives everybody a reason to sit there. The boxing enthusiasts sit there and look, this is just a barbaric sport. It's not real. But the New York thing has to do with unions.
Yeah, I know there's a lot to that stuff, and it's all politics there. I mean,
yeah.
I know Dana is so gun-ho about having a show in Madison Square Garden, and to be quite honest, I am too. I would love to see that. But just, if I'm UFC, if I'm MMA, just in general, I just let it go. To me, the UFC is getting to the point now where you got this young star McGregor. You had it in Ronda, but you kind of still do have that in Ronda. Your sport's expanding globally. Make them come to you. Don't seem like the kind of person that's scratching at the door, trying to like a puppy trying to get back in the house. Just let them come to you, because they will eventually.
Now, what do you think about Ronda and her Ellen interview?
Oh, well, did you? I know some of you guys have heard my show where I reacted that day to some of the backlash that Ronda was getting. Now I've had a little bit of time to kind of digest everything and calm down. So I'm going to ask you actually for your opinion on her interview first before I get back into mine.
Well, I look at it like two different ways. One, I look at it like she was opening up, telling everybody how it was. I mean, she was, pushed on to the top of the mountain. Everything was like, you're the best thing ever. Bam, she gets knocked out. I am a little worried because it being a combat sport, especially with the NFL right now, when you're seeing concussions and what happens to people after a while with the concussion, the suicidal thoughts, that concerns me. But then again, I also look at it like, was this somewhat of a PR move to try and help her get, fans back again, like people to sympathize with her? Because she was at a point where people were getting sick and not liking her.
Yeah, okay. I got a couple things to say on those. Let me start with the kind of the first point. About concussions being a thing in the NFL and suicidal thoughts. That is a concern that MMA has. That's a concern that all sports, all combat sports, whether it be football, hockey, any of these contact sports, should be concerned about. I don't want to kind of put words in her mouth or tell her what to think or how others to perceive it. I kind of really don't think that part of it was the case. I don't think it was a case of because of how she was knocked out that she suffers from anything head-related, like CTE-related symptoms, causing her to kind of think that way. I really don't think that's the case. Now, to your second point about being a PR move, I've heard this a lot. And initially when I heard it, it's like, so someone in her PR team told her it's a good idea to say something to the effect that she was so depressed she was worried about harming herself. That's going to fly over really well. If that's the case and that her PR team told her that, fire her PR team. Because I would have told her that was a bad idea.
Yes.
What I think it actually was, and I said this on my show, I really do think Ellen asked a question, and I went on this huge rant about people just listening to sound bites or reading headlines and not actually listening to stuff in context or reading a whole story. Ellen asked her a question, to the effect of how were you feeling that night? And Ronda was describing she was in the back and she had this thought and then she looked up. So, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out she was upset, she was depressed. She had thoughts of like, this is all over for me. And then she saw her man. And after that, she was fine. And other celebrities, Mike Tyson, Dana White, some other athletes have come out and said, hey, that's just a passing time. She was on top of the world and felt like she lost it. And she had that thought, and she was expressing that in that interview.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, people just people are, like you mentioned, people are getting sick of Ronda. People who were sick of Ronda before or didn't like Ronda before, they just picked this and tore this apart. And to me, it got to the point to me where it's another thing where it's like, I think fighters are kind of getting like they are with Conor, where it's just like you're some little bit of form of jealousy in there from attention or a money standpoint, or you feel like the company isn't embracing you like that you're looking for ways to tear down someone who you should be pumping up because they're helping line your pockets.
Yeah.
That's my take on
it. I agree. I agree with you on that and everything. Now, let me ask you, do you think she should change coaches?
Yes.
I mean, that fight when he was sitting there just telling her, you're doing great, when she was getting smashed.
Hands up.
Yeah, I was like, are you kidding me?
And then, I mean, even to the more effect, like, I don't claim to be a technical aficionado on stand-up or judo or anything like that. I never trained, never fought or anything like that. So, I mean, I'm not going to tell him what he was saying in the corner was right or necessarily wrong, but I will tell you what was wrong was a few days after the fight saying Ronda wasn't getting beat in the stand-up.
Yeah.
No, she got knocked the fuck out. So she got beat in the stand-up. You look like a dumbass saying this right now. So I mean, when the fight started and Ronda starts moving back, I was seriously in my head going, what the hell is she doing? Is she really gonna stand here and try to box with Holly? And people have come out and said she had a bad game plan from the start, and Edmund's training her to be a boxer. That may or may not be true, but when I see that Ronda, who has knocked out or has finished women in 16 seconds, 14 seconds, 30 seconds, under a minute, and she's starting to fight backing up, unless she completely blew off Edmund, I gotta believe that was part of the game plan. And just coming out with that mentality against a multiple-time boxer, she needs to change camps. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then with Ronda's mom coming out, trashing Edmund and everything too. He seems like a kind of shady guy, especially with the whole tax issue.
Yeah, it being over an identity theft thing, and him saying that he doesn't make money off of his fighters, and he has no income or something like that. It's a really weird situation, and Ronda seems like one of the type of people, for as much as people want to discredit her or say this or that about it, Ronda appears to be a very loyal person.
Yes.
And she feels, Edmund was the one that helped her take her to the heights that she's become. So in a way, I can not only get how she feels about Edmund and wanting to stay there, I'm actually empathizing and going, well, I mean, it's kind of hard to leave your boys when they're the ones that took you there. And I've even gotten to the point where I said if she doesn't want to leave, Glendale, then maybe she can still have Edmund be her main guy, but go train at other places also. Or bring some people in. You're Ronda fucking Rousey. People will come to you.
Yeah. The gyms will be lined up. I mean, go back with the Diaz brothers and everything. Learn boxing from them and everything.
Exactly. Exactly. They're all boys. Stockton 209. They're all boys. They used to all roll together.
Now, what do you think about Misha Tate and Holly Holmes?
That's actually what I was going to ask you next.
Okay.
First of all, I said it on my podcast, on another show I did, that Misha would have really benefited if Conor was off of this next card, because Misha's the one who, she's always been right under Ronda, whether it be shadow wise, title wise, exposure wise. She's always been right under Ronda, so she would have really benefited if she was now moved to the main event. But as far as the fight itself goes, man, I mean, when this first got announced, I was seriously thinking this is Holly all day. This will be easy. She's coming off a big win. She looks great in the stand-up. And Ronda, you know, people are overlooking this. Ronda got inside a clinch and took Holly down and still wasn't able to get that arm bar. Still wasn't able to do anything with Holly. She was clearly stronger. But, I mean, since all that wore off and I've been kind of watching how they interact and watching some older fights, Holly didn't look that great against Raquel Pennington. She didn't look that great against Marion. Some of her older fights, she's kind of tentative, and I know, you know, Winklejohn and them said that was kind of an act, but a lot of that, all that couldn't have been an act. Maybe she was what she fears she will be, a one-hit wonder. She had that one great night, and we know Misha's a tough chick. So if I gotta tell you right now who I have to pick, I tell you I'm not picking, and then you would put a gun to my head, and I said fine, I'll take Misha. So yes, I flip-flopped. If you listen to me, I'm flip-flopping on my position. I am picking Misha to win this fight via boring ass decision.
I'm taking Misha too. I mean, I'm pretty sure UFC and Dana White want Holly to win because they want that rematch. But
do they really?
I just think, yeah, they want that rematch.
Well, the reason I say that is if Misha wins, a Misha Ronda third fight with Ronda obviously winning that fight might be something UFC would want too.
But the bigger draw would be her and Holly, though.
Yeah, that is the bigger draw. You're right.
I mean, but I like Misha. I mean, yeah, I think it's just one of the things where it's just that, like it is in baseball, where you had that one pitcher, that's that one hitter you can never strike out no matter what you do. I think it is with Ronda and Misha. I think no matter what, just something about it.
Well, I just think they get under each other's skin so much, or at least Ronda somehow gets under Misha's skin so much that she's just going in there to destroy. And Ronda's always been the type of, well, she's gonna come in. You don't come in aggressively at Ronda. Ronda will put you on your neck and take your arm with her, and that's always been Misha's downfall, I think. But it is an interesting fight, and it's a fight that's not going to be talked about now because we have Conor and Nate doing all the press conferences, and I think the UFC loves that you know, they have this big fight between these two guys that are going to talk and promote it, as opposed to your co-main event where, you know, Misha will get out there and she'll do interviews, but she's not really going to excite you about her fights. Holly, we've seen that before, and people cry about Holly not getting the opportunities to be in the spotlight and doing things. And initially she was, but have you heard a Holly interview?
Not in a long time.
I'm not. I don't want anybody to get mad at me and saying, "Oh my God, you're hating on Holly." I'm not. I like Holly a lot. It's just her interviews are kind of, you don't remember them. It's not that she's a bad talker or she's a nice girl. She seems like an interesting woman. Just not promoting fights interesting. I'm sorry. Yeah. And so, you know, it'll be a good fight. I'm actually really looking forward to that fight a lot, actually. But, man, they are so... UFC's got to be so thankful they have Conor and Nate on that card, too.
Yeah, because I think that would have been a low buy rate without them. I mean, for as much as you push the ladies, you know, they're not... Aside from Ronda, they're not there yet. As to getting you the big draws.
No,
which is a shame, because Joanna Jostetovic is a monster.
Yeah, she is. And I think... I think part of the reason, and this doesn't get talked about, I think part of the reason that the 193 card did as well as it did, aside from it being Ronda, is people knew who Holly was because Holly fought on the undercard that Ronda was on as well. and so I think that kind of gave her a little bit of exposure there also. And obviously Joanna was on the undercard of the 193 show, so I don't know if Joanna means, 600,000 buys, but I mean, I think if you put Joanna on a main or in the main event on a pay-per-view, I think she does better than Mighty Mouse.
Which is a shame because Mighty Mouse. Well, what happens when you clear out your division though? You got nobody else to fight.
It is, but it's also what happens when you start telling fans that they're idiots for not appreciating what you are. You can't call fans idiots.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can call fans idiots. A lot of you are fucking morons. But when you're in the business of trying to get people to buy your fights, you can't call your fans idiots.
Yeah, they seem to be pushing Mighty Mouse a lot on the Fox cards. I mean, they want to try and give him that exposure more.
I think that's where he needs to kind of stay is on Fox cards or FS1 cards, or he can be the co-main event or third down the card. I think that's a spot for him. I'm sorry, that's a good spot for him.
Well, there's no big rivalry there with him. Like I said, he's clear out the division. There's no big, oh, he's gonna fight. Like Cejudo, yeah, he's great, and if they could market him, Olympic gold medalist and everything, but I don't think he's there yet.
No, I don't think so. And they're up next, right? It's Mighty Mouse and Cejudo. Oh man, I said it after Cejudo's last fight. Man, if he can get like 2 or 3 more fights, I think he'd be really ready for Mighty Mouse. But they're gonna push him right into a title fight way before he's ready. And I think that's what's gonna happen. I favor Mighty Mouse until he loses, especially in that division. But yeah, I mean, you look at it. Dotson, who's someone who's actually kind of charismatic and could kind of help that division, has moved up. He's already lost twice to DJ, so he's moved up. Once you get past Cejudo and Aljamain, who I mentioned earlier, who I think could be down the road, can you name 5 fighters in that division?
We got like Bermudez and. Yeah, that's it. I mean,
I'm gonna say, don't worry, man. I'll wait. There's no time.
I couldn't even go unless I looked it up.
But it sucks for him. But I think when your division's kind of like that, I mean, people will criticize the women's bantamweight division and say it's a shallow division. But I mean, you can put fights on the FS1 prelims or even on the title card, and I mean, you'll start to see some familiar names. I mean, the flyweight division has almost no one. So I don't know if it's a problem you can easily fix, because how many people are that size on this planet?
Which is a shame, because the flyweights. I mean, it's not like watching a heavyweight fight. These guys go at it. They don't slow down. They just
absolutely.
The heavyweights, they're gassed after the first round and everything. It's just 2 big ogres fighting. It's like, oh, okay.
Exactly, but I don't know. It's a hard problem to rectify. It's a hard problem actually in the women's bantamweight division. I'm not going to sit here and act like it's the greatest thing ever, even though I enjoy women's mixed martial arts really above anything else. I'm a huge fan of women's mixed martial arts, but I mean, you kind of have that problem in the 135 division. You're just hoping that some of these young people in different sports, whether it be jiu-jitsu or judo or wrestling, kind of come into MMA, and that's what you hope for.
Well, you gotta stop. UFC's gotta stop worrying about just pushing the pretty faces too. I mean, Paige Van Zant's good, but I don't think she was deserving of all the attention she was getting.
No, she wasn't, but it wasn't. To me, the UFC kind of didn't push that. It kind of got pushed on them. If you remember, I mean, she fought. I want to make sure I pronounce her name right. Is it Kaylee Curran? That fight was on the FS1, or I'm sorry, it was on the Fight Pass portion. And the next day, if you go back and look to see what was trending most from that show, I believe that show was this. Was that the one with? Oh God, who fought on that card? It was Edgar. Edgar fought Cub Swanson. I believe.
Okay.
I believe it was that event. And the number one thing trending from that show was Paige Van Zant. And I think she even cracked top 10 that night for most Googled things. So I mean, you if you're UFC and she's bringing you all this attention, you almost have to push her. But I definitely do agree with you when it's not just about the pretty faces. There are some badass women out there that deserve to be given not just the opportunity at UFC, but the opportunity to fight and for the UFC to do things with them. And I don't know if you agree with me on this, but like WWE has a network, You can put whatever the fuck you want on that network. You can do segment pieces on whoever you want on that network. UFC has Fight Pass. You can do a 3 to 4 minute video package on whoever you want. But the only people that seem to get those are, your main eventers for your big shows.
Yeah.
You have Go ahead.
I remember before Ronda lost her fight. I mean, every time on UFC, the Facebook page, their page, Ronda news, Ronda news, Ronda news, Ronda. And you look at comments, and the fans were just starting to get annoyed with it, getting pushed down their throats. They're like, okay, enough. Can we talk about somebody else?
And like it wouldn't be that hard. It'd be one thing if you didn't have your own subscription service that you can put things on. You can always go with the argument back then. Oh well, we only have so much TV time. We have to promote the next show. But you got your own network now, or you got your own programming. You can do pieces on anybody that you want. And like I said, it doesn't have to be this big overproduced thing. Send a camera crew, someone's hometown, have them talk about, this is my family, I'm training with this camp, I'm excited to fight. 3-4 minutes.
They're embedded series. Yeah, you can do that great like they do with the embedded series. When they sit there and they give quick little blurbs about people, they talk with them, they talk about their fight, what they've done, and then bam, they go on to the next person. Yeah, like I said, just little like like you said, little blurbs, little things, just and then have them play during the day. So a couple times. So if so you missed the first one, they pop up in between commercial things. It's just to introduce all the fighters to everybody, get everybody more familiar with them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they were doing the embedded series for. I'm not sure if it was Sage's last fight or the fight before, but they featured him on an embedded, and there was another fighter that was going to be on that card. And I believe the fighter tweeted out, they flew a camera crew out to Sage's house for an embedded series, and I'm here in Vegas. And there's no camera crew in sight for me. And it's just like, well, we kind of know who Sage is. You don't have to do 6 embedded episodes all featuring Sage. You can do 2 or 3 and then get some of the other people on the card. That's just me. Anyway, one of the things, other things I wanted to get about is you have some Wonder Boy Thompson news, right?
Yes, from what I understand. My sources will say that Wonderboy Thompson is going to sign to fight Rory McDonald, which is an intriguing fight because Rory is a smart fighter, and I think if anybody's going to be able to neutralize Wonderboy, it's be Rory.
Yeah, this fight went. I kind of heard it rumored on a couple things too. And I think immediately after you sent me that, I immediately said that this opens up Tyron Woodley versus Robbie Lawler. But obviously things have changed on that one, or could change quickly on that one. This fight here, along with the Anthony Pettis and Edson Barbosa fight, these are fights that the hardcore MMA fans are going to love because they're like intriguing matchups. These are matchups that can go. They're going to showcase a lot of skill, and with Wonder Boy and the way he took apart Johnny Hendricks with karate. I'm surprised karate's not going to be like this new thing that everybody's going to be looking to do now because that's what happens in MMA. And then you got you got him. And you got Rory, who just coming off that major war with.
That was a fight.
For Robbie Lawler. Man, if I had to, I really wouldn't want to pick that fight. Just like I don't want to pick the Barbosa and Pettis fight. But I will say that I'm excited for both. I am going to be glued to my television set for those. Those are the fights I'm going to actually call in my son and my wife to come in and check out and say, hey, watch these guys. This should be fun. We got to make picks, man. We got to make picks. We got to make picks. Got to go for it.
So I think it's an unknown factor. You don't know how fighters going to react after beating Rory took in that fight. That was that was a war. So it's a little hesitant. I mean, if it's Rory like he used to fight before, like he's smart, he gets people in, he knows what to do. I mean, Wonder Boy is just starting up. Hendricks, I think he's losing a luster. I think Hendricks isn't as dominant as he once was.
I think that's
he's starting to show.
Well, that's what happens when they close down your restaurant, man. I mean, they were showing pictures of him like a week before, and he's already at 173, and it's like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, I know weight was an issue for you before, but nobody told you had to not eat before the fight.
He was eating that deer meat for the Woodley fight, and that's what got him sick.
Yeah. That's the same stuff that Overeem's taking, right? No, that's horse meat.
No,
For Overeem,
horse
right?
meat, yeah.
Horse meat, yeah.
I don't know about that, but for the Barbosa Pettis fight, I'm a little worried that now they got the blueprints of how to beat Pettis.
Yeah, there is a blueprint of how to beat Pettis, but I don't think Barbosa's going to do that.
No, you think he's just going to come straight at him?
I think we're going to get some Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat shit in this. We're going to get some Black Splunkets and all that type of shit. I'm calling this the holy shit fight of the year. I'm excited. And if this is, I hope Big John McCarthy's the ref for this one, and if somebody takes somebody down, Big John stands them immediately up.
Just says, don't even bother with the jiu-jitsu or nothing. Nope.
Just put it in the contract. There's absolutely no takedowns at all allowed in this fight.
That's going to be a really good fight.
It is, and I'm excited for it. I need to find that. Is that on the 197 card?
I believe so.
All right, so 197 is looking pretty loaded too. I actually pulled up the rest of the card for 196. Well, I just had it here a second ago, and even with McGregor and Diaz being at the top of the card, you got Holly Holm versus Miesha Tate, and John Vellante is fighting as well. Another fight I don't want to harpoon on this one too quick, but great job. Amanda Nunes is going to be on the pay-per-view as well. She's fighting. I'm not going to try to pronounce this woman's name. She Shevchenko. I'm completely butchering that. But Amanda, this is intriguing too. Amanda Nunes, if she goes ahead and wins this fight, and Ronda is not ready until November, Lord knows what's happening with Cyborg, but let's take Cyborg out of the equation. Amanda Nunes is right there for a title shot.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, because, what happened to Kat Ziongo?
Kat, okay. So, obviously, Kat, everybody knows last time we saw Kat, she was basically she only knew one word right after that fight with Ronda, which was fuck.
Yeah.
It was just fuck everything, fuck. So we haven't seen her then. Apparently she was battling some kind of smaller injuries, but they kind of were nagging on her. As recently as I think 3 or 4 months ago, there was really no word. And then she was on MMA Insider and said she was getting back in the gym and she was looking for a fight. That was 3 or 4 months ago. So, she's, according to her, she's ready to go whenever they announce it. Same with Carla Esparza. They're both ready to go and just waiting on fight announcements, I guess. But go ahead.
I heard Carla was she was taking more time off because she realized she was fighting at too high of a level at the period of time, and she needed more time to train and get herself good.
Yeah, and I just saw the reason I bring this up, I just saw a tweet the other day where it was showing her. She said she was hitting the gym and she's waiting on a call. Doesn't necessarily mean she's going to take anything anytime soon, but she's waiting on a call. I thought it was funny when someone asked Dana White about, where's Carla Esparza, and Dana said, I have no idea where she is. To which Carla replied when a fan asked her, said, hey, Dana said he doesn't know where you are, and Carla said, I'm hiding underneath my bed. It's a very weird relationship these two seem to have. But she's getting back in the gym, and I guess she's waiting on a phone call. We'll see. But getting back to Kat and Amanda, Kat's been out now. This will be well over. We're at a year point almost coming up for her not having a fight and for her to be ranked as highly as she is. With the way she lost to Ronda, she needs to win a couple fights. I'm sorry, before she's even in talks of being in any type of title situation.
Yeah, that fight was just. It was mostly because she just ran in and got caught real quick, but that fight. I was expecting a lot more for that fight.
I was too. I was excited for that fight. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with Kat. And let's see. Oh, I got to talk about this on the 196 card. Thomas Lawler. Oh, he would get so mad at me if he heard that I called him Thomas. Tom Lawler is fighting. Oh my God, who is he fighting? Corey Anderson.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's
nice.
going to be a fun fight. Tom is a fixture on the on Figure Four, on Wrestling Observer Radio, along with Brian Alvarez. So he's a homer pick for me. I'm happy that he's getting back in. I know he had a concussion a couple weeks ago, and that's one part of the reason why his last fight was moved. I'm really hoping Tom not only gets a win here, but gets a big win here. I'd like to see him get one really good run in the UFC.
I'd like that too, but Anderson, I like him. I mean, I think he's still green, but he's coming along nicely. He could be a player in a few years.
Could be. He's let's see, he's 8-1. Let's see. Most of those are by decision, but yeah, still a pretty good record. I'm trying to read a little bit more on him about here. And of course, if you actually go to UFC.com and pull up the 196 card, I love this thing that they do. They have the weight, which is always whatever weight they're supposed to fight at. They have the reach, which is always accurate, and then leg reach. Tom Lawler has a 0-inch leg reach. So I don't know whether that means he has no legs. Maybe he's injured. I don't know. Maybe this is like an early indicator that Tom will not be able to fight in this next fight for no legs. I don't know.
Well, you see who's on the preliminary card for that fight?
Let's see. We have Brandon Thatch versus Sayer.
No, on the preliminary card.
Oh, on the Fight Pass card?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We got wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we might be reacting to the same thing. Diego Sanchez.
Yep.
And Jim Miller.
Yeah.
On Fight Pass. Because fuck it, that's why.
Diego's at a point he don't care no more. He just wants to fight.
Care. I mean, we got Anderson Silva fighting on Fight Pass, so I mean, why the hell not? But wow, I didn't even. Whoa. So yeah, let's talk about this fight. Man, I mean, what else can be said about either one of these guys? I've loved Diego Sanchez's tough one. Obviously, he introduced the world to the original Yes Chant.
Yes.
And for that fact alone, I always pick Diego Sanchez. Except he's fighting Jim Miller, who Jim Miller's fought everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it should be an interesting fight with Jim's sort of a grab you, try and grind out the decision there. Diego's just a beast anymore, where he's just swinging for the fences.
I'm trying to see. This fight is at 155 pounds. Okay. Boy. All right. You know what? I have to go with Diego. I think this is a fight where it could be very wild early. Both guys will probably want to stand and trade at least early. I could see Jim going for a takedown and trying to keep it on the ground there, but I never sleep on Diego's ability to either stop a takedown or to find a way to get a submission off his back. So
he hasn't shown that much lately.
Not lately. But I won't rule him out of that ever. I'm gonna go with Diego on that fight.
I'm liking Diego too. Right. Even though I should be going for the Jersey boy, but
Jersey boy. Let's see what else is on the prelims. Early prelims, not too much here. Yeah, so that's 196 people. Those are the big ones in 196. Also, Eric Silva's fighting as well. That should be noted.
Yes. He's another one that looked like he had the potential to be a monster. Then a couple losses just dropped him down.
It's always funny how that can happen. Like if you have a young upstart and they get that first big loss on the main stage and how they'll kind of react to that. Some guys brush it off. Some guys aren't able to. We'll see. He's facing Nordine Talib, who is 10-3. Let's see, 10-3. Half of those by KO, half by decision. Both guys also have 0 leg reach, so this one probably won't be standing. This one will probably go to the ground. But yeah, this is something here at the loaded welterweight weight class at 170. A win here on a card like this, where there's probably be a lot of eyes on the prelims. A win here by Eric can be a good step in the right direction for him.
Well, they could see. I mean, like you said, the welterweight division is one of the more deeper divisions. I mean, you gotta see what happens there. But I gotta go Eric on this one.
I will as well. I will as well.
So what do you got for Anderson, Silva, and Bisping?
Oh my God, yeah, that fight's Saturday, isn't it?
Yes.
Damn it, Conor just takes attention away. How did Conor McGregor take attention away from Anderson Silva?
Especially with all the stuff Bisping's been saying about him and tweeting about him.
Yeah, the Anderson Silva posted that thing on Instagram showing Bisping missing a kick on a training partner or something like that, and then Bisping reacts. Was it an Instagram post that was?
Yeah, and then Bisping posts back with his drug test passing.
Oh God, Bisping is the original UFC troll. I really do believe that. He's the first troll of the UFC. I mean, I spent years not liking Bisping at all. I've grown to not only respect him, but embrace him. Listen, he's been fighting for so long. He wants a chance at the title. He's hoping a win over Anderson Silva will put him in that contention for a title, or for a title shot, I should say. Look, when it comes to picking this particular fight, there's a lot of variables in that. Anderson looked good against Diaz's last time out, and when I say good, I mean he seemed like he moved well, because a lot of people were worried about how he would recover from that injury with his leg. But he didn't look great. He didn't look as explosive as he used to. So maybe it was just jitters about being on that leg. Bisping, he's I don't want to say he's been up and down, but he's always that guy that when he gets to that almost elite level, just can't seem to get it done. And I think that continues because I'm not going to pick against Anderson Silva unless he's facing Chris Weidman's right shin. So I'm going with Spider on this one.
I'd like to. I mean, you got to look at it's in England. Bisping is undefeated in England. Bisping wants this. I don't know if Silva wants this fight as much. I mean, I think the Nick Diaz thing might have took something out of him because Nick was one of the first people that sat there and didn't back down and realized, hey, let him punch first instead of worry about him counter punching.
True.
I gotta go with Bisping on this.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna make a note of this. And we can put this in the either Nate was wrong or Nate was incredibly right and his guess was incredibly stupid. Let me just put this down here real quick. All right, so we got that noted. So let it be known, people, and I will be having you on the show in case Bisping gets finished. Embarrassingly, we will have you immediately back on the show, and the show will be nothing but me just saying I'm right. It'll be for 10 minutes. I hope you're ready for that.
But then what happens if Anderson fails the drug test?
Yeah, you're right. So you have to wait a few months. Jesus Christ. I can do a whole nother show on drug testing in USADA, especially after that press conference where both Conor and Nate are throwing it back and forth about, I'm not on steroids, you're on steroids, your boys are on steroids. Look, people, if I didn't say it before, I'll say it now. If you have not watched this press conference, go watch the press conference. Would you agree?
Yes, definitely. That was one of the most entertaining press conferences since John Jones and Daniel Cormier fighting.
And this dwarfs that. If there had been any type of physical altercation between those two, this would be they almost wouldn't even need to have a fight. They can just put the press conference in its place on the pay-per-view, and people would have bought it. But on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. AJ, is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to plug, or
no.
How can people find you?
They just type in AJ and look for me. I'm around everywhere. You can find me on MMA Dogs. Always posting stuff.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Other than that, no, I don't got anything I want to plug.
All right. Well, I thank you for being on the show and dealing with all the technical issues we have here. We will definitely have you back on soon.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
You too, man.
All right, and that was AJ, and man, that show, we spent a lot of time talking about a lot of things. Glad to have him on. All right, folks, I'm going to wrap this show up as usual. You can head on over to the commonmanpodcast.weebly.com for links on how to listen to this show and past shows, along with news, headlines, all that good stuff. You can find us on Facebook at The Common Man Podcast. Just search that. If you want to get at me on Twitter, it's at Common Man Podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Peace and chicken grease.